as indeed Minister Oliver has told me that all of you, the visiting delegation from the European Union, have confided in them that Kenya is the best of the best. So I want to welcome you today and tomorrow, but for one more week after that, so that you can be able to sample our countryside, our national parks, our beaches, and I know some of you may have a problem to go back to your country, but you look for a way of diplomatic communication to your country to explain to them why so many of European nationals came for a conference in Kenya and they decided to stay in Kenya. Kenya takes our relationship with the EU very seriously. We've had a very fruitful engagement this morning with both the European Union and, of course, the Minister and the French delegation. We have got now a very firm program that we are going to execute together. Most of it will be covered tomorrow when we have the strategic dialogue, which my colleague Governor Mutua and my colleague Professor Njuguna Ndung'u with the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury are going to be coordinating, looking at the broader issues of security, of sustainability, and indeed development partnership. But today is the day of business. So the business of today is business. The business of Kenya is business. And in this regard, I want to reiterate and assure you that Kenya is indeed open for business. Through the Global Gateway program of the European Union, which we have agreed for our respective teams and the European Union to actually organize a deep dive in the next few weeks to look at how can we be able to create effective partnership between Kenyan business and European business. So what I am expecting is that at the end of the business forum today, we are opening a deal book, and Ambassador here is going to work with the Principal Secretary to open this deal book. Please, as I've told the delegation from France, ensure that all your partnerships, all your investments get its way into the deal book. And my commitment is that for all opportunities that are going to get into the deal book, I and my ministry will be able to follow up on a granular, individual basis. So we do not see you as 250 or 500 businesses. We see you as individual businesses, and we are going to actually be your agent to follow up on all these opportunities on an individual basis. Finally, is on the issue of the economic partnership agreement. EU Director Dora, who is around here, when she came to see me last December, I promised her one thing. The next time she comes to Kenya, I will confiscate her passport. And I've actually done that. And what I've told Dora is that I am only giving you your passport when we conclude all the topics under our economic partnership agreement. Our chief negotiator, P.S. Alfred Kombudo, is here, and I also want to confirm that I have also confiscated his passport. He cannot go anywhere. Because when Dora saw me in December, I told her that by 31st of March, we must conclude our economic partnership agreement. And I'm very proud, and I think the President is going to advise us whether he can be available to witness before that deadline with the European President to initiate that agreement, hopefully before the end of the quarter, and we really look forward to that. As the Minister has said, when you're in Kenya, you are not just in Kenya. When you're in Kenya, we are looking at a gateway for Africa. That is why, as a country, we have pioneered the efforts to bring together the countries of South Africa Development Cooperation, SADC, the East African Community, and COMESA, as a vital stepping stone towards the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Because we believe, as a country, that the journey towards ACFTA, it is going very well, but I think having a modular step-by-step approach is going to fast-track these topics. That is why we are really taking this issue of the tripartite agreement between these three blocs, 28 countries, 750 million people, $1.8 trillion of population, because once we have 28 countries, and our brothers and sisters from the west and the north, we are also encouraging them from ECOWAS to Sahel to Maghreb to all these other blocks to actually take similar measures so that we can be able to fast-track our efforts towards African integration. So when we talk to Kenya, you are talking to 28 African countries where Kenya is championing that. So there were actually 27, but Kenya persuaded one more country to join so that we can be more than the countries of the European Union. So now it is 28 versus 27. Because we wanted to, some area other than the athletics where we are ahead of Europe, and also to revenge for Morocco. Thank you, Oliver. So in the next 2 months, we hope to have more countries within TFTA than the countries of Europe. In this regard also, I want to ask the European Union to continue talking to our partners and our neighbors. Because why Kenya has taken a very aggressive and robust approach towards trade negotiations, we now have PS Kombodo here is negotiating 3 major agreements at the same time, with the European Union, with the US, and with the UAE, all of them at the same time, which is strenuous and draining for him and his lean team. It's because we have got everything to gain and everything to lose also if we don't take this route. You are aware, and I've said this clearly to Ambassador and the team, that some of our neighbors and some of our partners, because of the least developed country status, they continue to enjoy, free market access to your markets. And Kenya has said that really we have to have this conversation. Is it right? Is it fair? Is it moral? Is it the right thing to do for Kenya to continue suffering because we are a middle-income country? We cannot incentivize poverty. Poverty is not something you aspire for. Poverty is something you find yourself in by accident. And we want to ask European Union to continue having this conversation, even with our partners, and tell them really that, please, let's aspire to leave this LDC bracket and get all our economies to the middle income. By the way, within the next 5 to 10 years, this government, the Kenya Kwanza government in the Republic of Kenya, is going to create a vacancy in the middle income because we want to be the top bracket income. So we want other countries to come in and fill in that gap. So there is space. You cannot say that you want to continue to be LDC because there is no space. We are creating a space within the middle income nations. They can come and occupy as Kenya moves upwards. Let us not incentivize poverty. Let us work together to uplift our people from poverty. Let us not continue saying that this country can continue frustrating efforts for, to open free trade simply because you are LDC, simply because you enjoy free market access. Poverty is not a good thing. It's something you find yourself by accident. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that Nairobi is the center of business. We welcome you for 3 very major events that are taking place in Nairobi this year. In April, the African Union, the ACFTA, trade ministers, and also our private sector in Africa, 100 top companies in Africa are converging here in Nairobi to develop the implementation matrix now that we have got a critical mass of countries that have ratified the CFTA. In July, alongside the mid-year summit of the African Union, we welcome you to the Kenya International Investment Conference right here in Nairobi. And of course, His Excellency the President is going to host, as the chair of CAHOS, the African Heads of State on Climate Change, our summit on climate change for Africa. And as I talk about this issue of climate change, as I conclude, is to say the conversations that were started in Sharm el-Sheikh in COP27 about the finance for the issue of climate transition. We are saying there is no better country to pilot this. And I've said this to Ambassador and the team, that we are saying we are ready and to champion and to take the body blows for this very difficult decision. And as a minister in charge of industry, I know I am under pressure from industry asking me, are we really able to industrialize on green? And I've been promised that in that journey, we are not alone. And Ambassador has promised me that Europe will open the checkbook, as was indeed agreed in Sharm el-Sheikh, to help Kenya to transition, and so that you can be able to put climate finance to incentivize Kenya as a pilot and an early mover in these conversations. So with those few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I want to welcome you again to Nairobi. Asante sana.
A lot of applause for Waziri Moses Kuria. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's now my singular duty and honor to invite the European Investment Bank Vice President, Mr. Thomas Ostro, to come and make his remark. Welcome, sir. Let's appreciate him.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency President Ruto, Cabinet Secretaries, Ministers, Ambassadors, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, friends. As Vice President of the European Investment Bank, responsible for East Africa, it is my honor to welcome you all to EU-Kenya Business Forum today. Karibuni. It's a pleasure to be back in Nairobi and to be here in Kenya on the first high-level official visit from the European Investment Bank in Africa this year. The European Investment Bank is, as you know, the world's largest multilateral development bank, owned directly by the 27 European Union member states. And last year, the European Investment Bank provided more than 4.1 billion euros for private and public investment across this continent. This was during the first full year of operation of our new dedicated development finance arm, EIB Global. In November 2021, EIB President Werner Hoyer and I unveiled EIB Global when launching our first regional hub here in Nairobi. The hub covers 12 countries across East Africa, from Djibouti to Tanzania. We have worked with Kenyan partners to support transformation of private and public investment across this country for the last 47 years. And during that time, we have provided more than 1.6 billion euros for investment only here in Kenya. Our engagement has benefited millions of Kenyans through support for better access to clean water, affordable energy, enhancing ports and harnessing wind and solar power and geothermal energy. Over that time, EIB has also supported investment by thousands of Kenyan entrepreneurs and companies across the country, and this mostly in partnership with leading Kenyan financial institutions. This includes our largest ever support for the blue economy business financing and dedicated backing for investment by companies led by women, crucial for economic development and financial inclusion. So during my 5 days visit to East Africa this week, which apart from Kenya will also continue in Tanzania, I will be announcing European Investment Bank support for more than 1 billion euros worth of new investments by local businesses. Later today, I will join Trade and Development Bank President Tadesse to formally sign our largest ever business financing cooperation, which will enhance access to finance by African companies impacted by trade disruptions, the pandemic, and the recent energy price shocks triggered by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The European Investment Bank and the European Union stands by African businesses during a time of unprecedented and often unpredictable challenges. This week's EU-Kenya Business Forum and the EU-Tanzania Business Forum taking place on Thursday and Friday in Dar es Salaam comes at a crucial time when African business must be encouraged and enabled to expand, harness new business opportunities, and create skilled jobs. The European Investment Bank and the European Union and all our European Union partners are working hard to strengthen access to finance through targeted business financing. But equally important, my colleagues and I are here to listen to your investment needs and to identify new investments and business opportunities. I wish to take this opportunity to thank the government of Kenya and cabinet secretaries from the new Ruto administration who met my colleagues here in Nairobi only 2 weeks ago to discuss EIB financing for priority public investment across this country. We look forward to working together with you to build a better future, to tackle climate change and ensure that Kenyan businesses can grow in the years ahead. And I'm ready to, Mr. Minister, to depose my passport until we have signed the new deals together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, European Investment Bank Vice President, Mr. Thomas. Asante sana. Your Excellency, allow me now to invite the Cabinet Secretary for Investment, Trade and Industry, Honorable Moses Kuria, to come and kindly invite you to address us. Waziri, kindly. Noted, sir. Waziri Mutua.
Your Excellency, President William Ruto, Cabinet Secretaries, Minister, my friend from France will be traveling with you tomorrow, looking at some projects, looking forward to it. Business delegates who are here, as you've heard from our Minister, Kenya is open for business. Our job is not to frustrate business, but to facilitate business. And we're going to make sure that everybody who is here is comfortable, because at the end of the day, it's about money in the pocket. It's about employment, it's about growing the economy, and that's what we are all about. It is now my pleasure to welcome His Excellency, President William Samoei Ruto, to address this meeting. Karibu, President.
Good morning, everybody. Please, let's take our seats. Thank you. Honorable Ministers, Cabinet Secretaries, Permanent Secretaries, Ambassadors, business community, good morning. Again, let me welcome all of you, those who are coming here from outside our country. Welcome to Kenya on behalf of the people and government of Kenya. Welcome to Nairobi and welcome to Kenya. I am happy to be with you this morning in this very important forum, which marks the beginning of what promises to be the most significant development in the field of trade and economic relations between Kenya and the European Union. From the robust attendance that I see this morning, I see a common belief that there is value in this relationship between Kenya and the EU, a value in engagement, a value in negotiations, and a value in partnership. This forum is the culmination of determined efforts under the bilateral strategic dialogue, which has been facilitated by the cordial relations between Kenya and the EU delegation. It is highly encouraging to note that this forum has not only brought together high-level officials from both sides, but I'm also informed that it will attract between 500 and 700 participants from all sectors. For a first installment, this magnitude of positive indicates the level of business opportunities that stand to be unlocked through our strategic dialogue. It also shows that the Kenya-EU relations are deep and extend beyond development cooperation between our governments to many highly impactful areas in both business and private sectors. I am confident, therefore, that we are off to an excellent start and that we may all look forward to highly productive deliberations over the next 2 days, which will give way to very rewarding engagements into the future. This confidence is underpinned by the fact that, as matters stand now, the EU is the largest destination for Kenyan exports, accounting for about Kenya shillings 170 billion in 2021. Equally fundamental is that the EU accounted for 16.5% of Kenya's total import bill in the same year, which amounted to 355 billion Kenya shillings and represents an increase in value of imports to 14.8% from the previous year. Trading with the EU helps Kenya create millions of direct and indirect jobs in tea, coffee, cut flowers, and peas value chains, which are our main exports. In fact, 70% of our total flour production is exported to the EU and from the EU to other destinations. Kenya and the EU are engaged in a fairly vigorous trade regime. It is only reasonable that as business partners on such a scale, we should be engaging more and engaging all the time. As you are aware, the government remains to unlock high rates of economic growth by focusing on our 5 priority areas which form the pillars of our agenda for the rapid socio-economic development of our country. As the highest multiplier of employment opportunities, agriculture is a key pillar of our bottom-up economic transformation agenda to increase incomes and employment and reduce poverty and inequality. Its strong linkages mean that the impact of agriculture cuts across manufacturing all the way to logistics, with positive outcomes in every sector in between. These benefits and opportunities are curtailed by barriers faced by our agricultural exports to the EU. They are subjected to product and market-specific restrictions, as well as onerous phytosanitary standards, compounding infrastructure-related challenges like difficulties with flights and low technological capacity, which hinder productivity. I believe that continued consultations, like the one we are having this morning, and collaboration can unlock these barriers and smoothen the path for stronger trade relations and investment opportunities. The second pillar of our bottom-up economic transformation agenda is the micro, small, and medium enterprise sector, where many Kenyans in our economy are based. This sector absorbs 9 out of every 10 people who join the workforce. The need to establish MSME sector business development centers across the country is urgent and cannot be gainsaid. Providing young people with stronger technological know-how, operational capability, business management skills, and general entrepreneurial capacities is critical. Our skills-based, technology-oriented TVETs seek to empower our young people with relevant skills, while our county-based industrial and aggregation parks will provide meaningful avenues for aggregation, value addition, and agro-processing. We are also ameliorating the housing shortage in the country, particularly in our urban centers, by embarking on the development of affordable and social housing units in projects that are intentionally labor-intensive in order to create opportunities for skilled and unskilled labor throughout the country. We have set out, for example, under this pillar, that we are going to be constructing 200,000 houses every year in all counties in the Republic of Kenya. The housing projects also consume locally produced materials as well as fittings and fixtures fabricated and assembled by Kenyan MSMEs. Additionally, the government is committed to the provision of universal health coverage. This program requires intensive investment in various dimensions of the health sector, from developing and equipping facilities of various levels to the provision of medical and therapeutic supplies. In this context, we are working with private sector to provide infrastructure facilities, manufacturing of pharmaceuticals, and other interventions that will help in the private-public relationship as we deliver this assignment on health. Finally, we shall escalate the provision of internet bandwidth throughout the country under our digital superhighway and creative economy pillar. Our plan is to enhance Kenya's leadership position in the provision of financial technology and innovation and expand to animation, robotics, and artificial intelligence to enhance thousands of our young people participate confidently in the digital economy. These sectoral commitments require the investment of huge amounts of capital. There are also clear opportunities for the EU firms to plug in, especially under our public-private partnership model. The legal framework for PPP is now in place, and investors can engage with confidence in all our areas of priority and areas of interest by our partners. A year ago, I engaged the European Business Council and shared my vision in terms of the business environment and the rules of the game. I expressed commitment with regard to institutionalization of our governance and sound institutional quality and the rule of law. I wish to confirm to you that I have made progress in implementing those undertakings to pursue solutions. The Kenya Revenue Authority, for example, is less arbitrary and more rational in executing its mandate, and now pursues alternative dispute resolution with a firm and fair focus on optimizing revenue collection and at the same time providing a customer-sensitive service to all taxpayers. The Inspector General of the National Police Service is now an accounting officer, which makes the police service truly independent and can handle all matters to do with the security of property and life of citizens, including our investors. We are making progress in supporting the judiciary to reach Kenyans closer at the grassroots by establishing additional court stations throughout the country as a mechanism to enhance our ease of doing business and making sure that disputes are resolved in time so that there are no losses and there are no unnecessary delays. The rule of law depends on the independence of such institutions and go a long way to anchor the caliber of business that makes Kenya a compelling investment destination. I am confident that we shall make further progress steadily going forward. Kenya alone is an economy of around 55 million people who consume plenty of products from the EU. We remain uniquely geostrategic as the gateway to the East and Central Africa and are a central player in 3 overlapping regional economic communities: the East African Community, the Common Markets for East and Southern Africa, and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. We are also a strong participant in the vast tripartite agreement encompassing EAC, COMESA, and SADC. As you've heard from Moses, this is an agreement, the tripartite agreement was signed in 2015, And unfortunately, for the last 7 years or so, we haven't concluded that agreement to the satisfaction of the requirements of the regulations. In the last 1.5 months, I have sent Moses, my cabinet secretary, to 11 capitals, and he's been all the way to Egypt, Angola, Comoros, Uganda, Tanzania, Lesotho, South Africa, and I now can promise with confidence that by end of April, we will have the tripartite agreement in place, and 28 countries in our continent will be working as one trading bloc with 750 million people and an economy of $1.8 trillion. I think it is a great opportunity that as the EU looks at Kenya, you are also looking at the tripartite agreement, 750 million people, and a huge economy to deal with. I think we can now have a conversation of equals. For the EU Business Council, I want to state that doing business in Kenya is strategic and highly beneficial, literally in every way. This is why it is also important that the EU undertake a fresh push to conclude the Economic Partnership Agreement with East African Community. And I'm really looking forward to this being concluded so that we can even the scales. Access to the EU market would enable Kenya expand its export base, thereby multiplying employment opportunities and strengthening its balance of trade. It is one of the notable interventions that can make tremendous difference to our economic performance, and there is excellent reason in the EU's best interest to conclude this deal. Kenya is undergoing the adverse impact of climate change, leading to extreme weather patterns, including a drought in our arid and semi-arid rangelands, which covers nearly 70% of our landmass. In these northern and northeastern stretches, rain has failed for 4 consecutive seasons, leading to widespread crop failure, livestock deaths, starvation, and malnutrition, water stress, immense economic loss, and conflict. This adversity is part of a broader phenomenon afflicting the Horn of Africa, which we all know. Our agriculture-driven economic transformation agenda, industrialization, food security, wealth, and job creation is in jeopardy if we remain vulnerable to erratic rain patterns. Thus, this agenda not only has to be complemented by a strong water harvesting and supply and irrigation infrastructure component, our entire bottom-up economic transformation agenda must be premised on strong green growth. Let me repeat, strong green growth. And let me say this, because I am speaking to business, that humanity is at a crossroads. Business is at a crossroads. Investment is at a crossroads. Do we continue the coal-fired, fuel-powered growth that has brought us where we are today, with the kind of weather and climate change situation that we face, or we take a new trajectory on the path on green growth? That is the option humanity is faced with today. And as business leaders, it is important for you to analyze where the future is. Is the future in coal-powered growth, or is the future in green growth? I think the choice is rather obvious. It is not possible. It is not prudent. It is not moral. It is not right to continue the path of coal-powered, fuel-powered growth, because it poses an existential threat not just to Africa, to the globe. And many would ask, is it possible to industrialize with green growth? Let me give you the answer. Kenya is the largest economy in our region. Yet, our manufacturing, our industrialization, our economy is powered by renewable energy. 92% of energy in Kenya is renewable energy. It gives you the testimony that it is possible to run a country, to run an economy, to run industrialization on green energy. Therefore, as business leaders, as people who are investors, where is the future? If you ask yourself, let me point to you where the future is. The future is in green growth. And green growth, the leader in green growth is in the African continent. Why do I say so? This is the continent that has 50 times renewable energy that is demanded by the world. 50 times, number one. This is the continent that has 60% of all solar renewable energy. This is the continent that has cobalt, manganese, and all the other products that you need for battery and for hydrogen technology. This is the continent that has 70% of its population under 30, giving you the human resource that will power the industrialization and manufacturing going into the future. This is the continent of 1.4 billion people. If you are looking for a market, I've just explained to you that the African CFTA brings a market of 1.4 billion people. As an investor, if you are looking at the future, and the future is green growth, and green growth is in Africa, and the ingredients of driving that green growth is renewable energy. And renewable energy, we have 50 times in Africa. You should know where your future and the future of your business and investment should be going. I do not explain. I know you are intelligent people, and I'm sure that's why you are sitting in this room, because you know where the future is. And I want to welcome you to Kenya. We are going to provide the necessary leadership to make sure that we come to the table with solutions on climate change, with solutions on green growth, to provide the globe with the solution. Where are we going? And the necessary infrastructure that will take us to the next level. I am very confident that green industrialization, green manufacturing, the epicenter is going to be in this continent, and your first foot should be in Kenya. An ambitious climate action, biodiversity loss mitigation and conservation and pollution control agenda, as well as robust carbon trading framework, presents immense possibilities for investors in the green economy. I have set out several sectors and areas where our development agenda at the program and project level offers numerous undeniable investment opportunities. I am sure tomorrow you will be continuing this conversation. You will go in depth into the opportunities that are there, and officials of my government, led by my good friend Moses, will lead that charge. And if there are any questions and they are unable to answer, please report them to me. The purpose of this forum is to channel the power of the invisible hand by striking collaborative partnership and other cooperative arrangements aligned to these opportunities in order to unlock a win-win mutual benefit engagement. The progress made towards success of deliberations on this forum depend on the ability of participants to initiate and sustain deep and candid conversations, demonstrate good faith, and appeal to mutual benefit in order to address concerns, allay fears, give comfort, and build the necessary trust for us to move together. There are problems to be solved, opportunities to be unlocked, and progress to be made in order to make economy, agriculture, green energy, ICT, and other infrastructure work for the people of Kenya and also work for our partners in this forum. As I have observed earlier, in this forum is off to a very good start. I am confident that we will come out, all of us, with a win-win arrangement. I thank the organizers for a good job. I wish my good sister, Ambassador, she's been very pivotal. She has not given us peace in making sure that we do what we have to do. I wish all of you fruitful deliberations and look forward to a wonderful outcome. Thank you very much.
The European Investment Bank Vice President, the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, and also the French Minister on stage. The rest of us can take our seats. After we are done with the first photo, Your Excellency, you'll allow me to invite all the EU ambassadors to join after that photo. We take the first one at the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. May we have the EU ambassadors joining His Excellency on stage. Thank you so much. I will invite all the excellencies to take their seats as we leave His Excellency on stage as we come to the end of our program. Their excellencies to take their seat as His Excellency remains on stage for the national anthem. All the excellencies to take their seats. May we be upstanding.